Hey students, welcome to week 1 of Production Management and Operations. This is just a quick weekly overview of some of the things you're going to be reading about in the chapters 1, 2, and 3. Some of the objectives this week that we're going to take on are looking at the important, the fundamental concepts behind production and operations management, as well as learning some of the important strategies related to POM, or Production Operations Management, as well as looking at the design of products and services as we study them in this course. Excuse me. So some of the key terms that you need to understand are things like, in the operations and supply chain management sphere, includes things like product design, purchasing, service operations, distribution, logistics. Success really depends on a number of factors like strategy, the processes that are designed to deliver products and services, as well as the analytics behind it, like how do you know it's working. Some of the differences between operations and supply chain management, and by the way, in terms of nomenclature, operations and supply chain management, the course text, uses that acronym OSCM. And in the course, it's actually Production and Operations Management. It's the name of the course. So you'll see those terms, OSCM for Operations and Supply Chain Management, interchange quite frequently with Production and Operations Management. So it's just a difference between the name of the course text and the name of the course. Operations. In operations, we talk about manufacturing and service processes that transform raw resources into products or services, whereas supply chain is more about the processes that move information around, move material around from point A to point B. This is an example of what an operations supply chain process might look like. So pretend for a moment that this is your company right here. And so you're sourcing, you get material from somebody, you transform, you make it, if you will, into something, then you deliver it to somebody else like a customer. Down from you, supplying you, is another company, and they have a plan to make their product, their service. They have a source where they get their material from. They make it, they deliver it, and deliver it to you, and so all the way through. Now, in the event of a return, it gets a little more complicated, so it moves backwards down back down the food chain, back down the supply chain, if you will. Some of the issues that face operations supply and the whole supply chain management process is coordinating relationships between different suppliers. There's optimizing the global network of suppliers. There's a lot of talk right now about tariffs, of course. That comes into play. Managing customer touch points. The touch points are where your operation touches the customers. Maybe it's if it's a restaurant, it's that waitress is the touch point with delivering the food. Raising awareness of operations, supply chain management as a competitive weapon. We don't think that way very often, but really as good as you can get with your productions and operations, you can turn what seems like a pretty core, product or service function into a great competitive weapon to trounce on top of your competitors. And we're also, one of the big issues right now going on is the triple bottom line. We're going to talk about that in a minute. And that includes the idea of sustainability. There's these 3 different terms that sometimes we use interchangeably, but they're not the same. There's efficiency, effectiveness, and value. Efficiency is doing something at the lowest possible cost given some level of input. So mathematically, it's some unit of output is on the top is the numerator, and the denominator is some amount of input. So if you put something in, 1 unit of something in, you at least hope to get 1 unit of something out. You'd be 100% efficient. If you put 2 units of something out with 1 unit of input, you're 200% efficient. Most places are not 200% efficient. Most struggle to be 100% efficient. Effectiveness, though, is doing the right things to create the most value for your customer. Keeping in mind that customer could be an internal customer. And then value is the attractiveness of your product relative to its cost. Here's this idea of the triple bottom line. It's in your text. I want you to take a few minutes and look at it in the text as well. Most of the time when we talk about the bottom line, we're talking about a financial bottom line or this idea of economic prosperity. But this concept's been around for a while, but it's really taken hold the last 10 to 15 years that companies ought to be interested in more than just their economic bottom line or their profit bottom line. There's also this idea of environmental stewardship. What is the company doing in regards to their product as it relates to the environment? McDonald's has gone through a big change. If you remember, McDonald's coffee cups used to be styrofoam. Now they're cardboard. All right, that's an example of their environmental stewardship. Then there's the idea of social responsibility, social causes and that sort of thing. Like, what's the company involved with? And when you buy a product, you may not think about it like this, but when you buy a product, you are buying into not just supporting their profit bottom line, the economic prosperity, but you're also buying into what they do with the environment, and you're buying in what they do with their social responsibility. So, for example, Starbucks. When you buy a cup of Starbucks coffee, yes, you're getting a great cup of coffee, but you're also supporting their efforts to replant the cocoa or the coffee bean plants in another country. They spend a lot of time, a lot of resources, Starbucks does, on replanting and training farmers in other countries on how to be more efficient in their growing. Here's a fairly controversial one. When you buy a Nike product, sorry that face is blocked there, didn't mean for that to happen, but when you buy a product from Nike, are you buying into, you do buy into the ideas and the social causes that they stand for, one of them fairly recent with Colin Kaepernick. Not getting political here, but just be aware when you buy a Nike product, you buy into everything else that they stand for. So the idea is the triple bottom line. The product design process is when companies continuously bring, it's the way that companies continuously new products or services to market. Product design, a company's product design process really can make them very unique in the industry. A lot of companies do this what's called contract manufacturing. So a company may design their product, but they'll contract it out. Happens a lot in the food industry. In the automotive world that I'm familiar with, Ford, GM, Chrysler, they have engineers, of course, but they will contract out a lot of the subcomponent engineering. I worked for a company that designed exhaust systems, mufflers, pipes, converters, connectors, and that sort of thing. And so not only did we design it, we manufactured it and delivered it as full assemblies to the big three car plants. The generic design process looks like this, everything from planning through the production ramp up. And you can see the different steps in between. There's six phases in this, what's called the generic process. But from that generic process, and this is kind of a busy chart, it's in your book as well, but there are different phases that happen for, in manufacturing. There's phase 0, what is manufacturing doing, what is marketing doing, what is, put my glasses on here, sorry, what is the design doing, what is, there's other, like what's finance doing, and then phase 1, everybody's doing something else, phase 2, you can see all the way up to phase 5. So this is really a chart showing what everybody's doing in this product design process, this generic product design process in phase 0 through phase 5, and these are all the different functions of your company. If you take that one step further, but not all companies are the same. So if you have a product that's a technology push product, a platform product, a customized product, that product design process, that development process looks different. And so then these are the different descriptions and modifications that you might make to that generic product design process, or product development process, excuse me. Okay, that's it for right now. Make sure you read the chapters 1, 2, and 3. Read them thoroughly. The quizzes will cover, the quiz for this week will cover any one of the items in chapters 1, 2, and 3. Your initial responses for discussion questions are due by 11:59 on Wednesday night, just before midnight. Remember, if it's at midnight, it's late. Make sure you follow up responses to at least 3 of your classmates on any of those discussion questions that you see out there. Follow up with 3 of them for a total of 5, your 2 initial, and then 3 more that you add. A total of 5 by Sunday, 11:59 p.m. And then the quizzes are due by Friday, 11:59 p.m. and the assignments due Sunday, 11:59 p.m. So have a great week. Remember, God is on his throne. He's always been there. He's always going to be.